I'd like to welcome everyone for joining us this evening, and I'd like to thank you all. I am Mitra Kut and my colleague, Ms. Annie Levy. We have the pleasure of hosting this evening's ceremony as we are celebrating the Sixth Avicenna Award. Just a few words about the award itself. The Avicenna Peace Award was launched in 2018 by the Afghan Institute for Strategic Studies to honor distinguished individuals, institutions, initiatives, and projects involved in advocating dialogue, intercultural exchange, mutual coexistence, and non-violent approaches. The award is named after one of humanity's greatest thinkers, Avicenna, who was among the early scholars connecting different civilizations through his intellectual curiosity. This year's Avicenna International Award will be presented to His Excellency Edi Rama, Prime Minister of Albania, in recognition of his leadership in promoting intercultural and interfaith understanding and Albania's vital support to the people of Afghanistan, particularly to the women of Afghanistan. And the event will feature a video message from His Excellency Mr. Edi Rama, Prime Minister of Albania. We'll have music performance, which is very exciting, documentary from a prominent Afghan filmmaker, and speakers who will honor this prestigious award and winners. اما تنها دوستان گرامی تشریف آوریتان به مراسم جایزه ابن سینا خوش آمدید میگوییم و از حضورتان سپاسگزاری میکنیم. جایزه امسال چنانچه در انگلیسی هم گفتم به نخست وزیر آلبانیا آقای ایدی راما اهدا خواهد شد و در برنامه امروز سخنرانی‌های از خواننده‌های بسیار برجسته و فوق‌العاده خواهیم داشت و در ضمن یک پیام ویدیویی از آقای نخست وزیر همچنان نشر میشه و برنامه امروز همچنان شامل موسیقی و داکومنتری یا مستند از یکی از فیلمسازان افغانستان خواهد بود و بعض housekeeping نوتایی که من دوباره میخوایم رو به انگلیسی براتون بگویم. First of all, please note that the ceremony is going to be live broadcasted through AISS social media channels, filmed and recorded. We will also have media coverage. If anyone has any concerns, please raise it with AISS team. So we'll kick off the ceremony with a wonderful prayer performed by Muslim, Christian, and Jewish singers in the presence of late Pope Francis and the King of Morocco. Please give them a very big round of applause.
Watched and listened to. It's an honor to have been invited back to moderate the 2025 Avicenna Awards ceremony alongside Mitra. I was first introduced to AISS 2 years ago when my former employer, the wonderful World Jewish Relief, received the award alongside other Jewish organizations for their work supporting the evacuation, resettlement, and integration of Afghans to the UK and elsewhere. And since then, I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Seema Samar, former Afghan politician at Tufts University, conducting human rights monitoring of gender apartheid in Afghanistan. And I'm grateful to have been invited back by AISS this year, both as a researcher, but also as a representative of the Jewish community. And we very much value our friendship with your community as well. So without further ado, I will introduce Dr. Davood Moradian, the Director General of AISS, to deliver opening remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is a great pleasure for us at the Afghan Institute for Strategic Study to welcome you to our most cherished event, our annual Avicenna Peace Awards. For the third year, we are hosting the ceremony in this beautiful place of worship in London, one of the greatest cities in the world. The first 3 award ceremony took place in our own beautiful office in Free Kabul. It's called the Nine Towers Fortress. قلعه نوبرجه در کارته پروان که حال در زیر اشغال طالبان می باشد. Tonight we celebrate an honorable statesman and a remarkable individual His Excellency Prime Minister Edi Rama of Albania. After extensive research and consultation, our jury has recommended His Excellency as the recipient of the Sixth Avicenna Peace Award. The jury cited 3 reasons for this honor: his generosity in welcoming thousands of Afghan refugees and evacuees to Albania in the summer of 2021, his steadfast support for the Afghan women particularly, and also other Afghan constituency since then. And thirdly, his role as a bridge builder, connecting different culture, faith, tradition towards a shared humanistic vision. Ladies and gentlemen, just as individuals have distinguishing characteristics, so too do groups like nation, organization, and corporation. For example, some may be recognized as powerful nation. Some we call a strong state, while others we call them as corrupt institutions. We often use the term honorable to describe individual, but it is rare to refer to nation in the same way. How can we quantify honor in the context of collective identity? Plato, in his masterpiece on political philosophy, addressed the concept of honor. He identified 3 concepts in the context of political philosophy: security, interest, and honor. He linked these 3 concepts to his conception of an ideal state and the tripartite nature of the soul. While there are many examples and benchmarks for security and interest in politics and international relations, there are few, if any, regarding the concept of honor. Honorable guests, in the summer of 2021, Prime Minister Edi Rama exemplified honor as a statement on the behalf of his fellow countrymen and women, offering asylum to vulnerable and marginalized individuals is a clear manifestation of honor. Conversely, abandoning your promise to your allies and partners is a dishonorable act. After the Taliban's return to power, we all were challenged to face honorably by taking care of our loved ones, colleagues, friends, comrades, and in my case, my dogs. This endeavor has many winners and losers. Albania stood out as one of the honorable nations, despite its distance from Afghanistan, for which we are grateful wholeheartedly. We signed a number of strategic partnerships with a number of countries, and we thought they were our friends. But on August 16, they forgot us. I don't want to name that particular nation. On the 16th of August, they canceled all visa for Afghan citizens. Not only they did not accept one Afghan refugee, they also canceled the visa for Afghans. And also some other countries that have stopped issuing visa for Afghan citizens. But Albania is one of the few examples that welcome us, embrace us in summer 2021 and onward. And as Annie says that we choose the Jewish organization as the winner on behalf of all humanitarian organizations around the world that help Afghan refugees in 2021. So really helping Afghan refugees was a global effort. Different individual, different organization, different community exemplified by our Jewish colleagues. So we are very grateful to all of those who have welcomed Afghans and of course other refugees around the world. But we need to be guarded against the abuse and misuse of the concept of honor. particularly in the context of Afghanistan's, unfortunately, mistreating women is seen by some as a honorable act. مرد غیرتی، غیرت مرد نشان داده می شود که شما چه اندازه زن خود را کنترل کنید و هر زن خود رو بیشتر کنترل کنید شما یک غیرتی تر هستید، اما او غیرت نیست، او وحشت است شما بدرفتاری با زن. Mistreating women is not honorable. It is misogyny, it is violence. Empowering women is honorable. Anyway, once again, thank you to all of you who have accepted our invitation to celebrate one of the few true statesmen of our era, His Excellency Edi Rama. And I'm very grateful to my colleagues in organizing these events. And again, our colleagues have become by default global. We have colleagues in Pakistan, in Iran, in Canada, in Germany, in the UAE, in London. So really all have contributed to organize these events. So I'm very grateful to our colleague at AISS. And I wish you a very honorable and also memorable event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Moradian, for noting women's empowerment. That's something we need more than ever today for Afghan women. And now I'd like to call on stage Ms. Wendy Chamberlain, who is a Liberal Democrat MP and former police officer. Ms. Chamberlain champions carers' rights, social justice and rural services. She also chairs parliamentary groups focused on Afghan women, food, poverty and environment. Ms. Chamberlain.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to Dr. Moradian and all of the organisers for welcoming to this wonderful event. It really is an honour to be here with you all. But I must start with an apology because unfortunately I need to head back to Scotland tonight to meet farmers in my constituency in St Andrews tomorrow. So as soon as I have spoken, I'm very sorry that I have to leave. And looking at the beautiful food that is already on display, I feel very bad about that. Now, I've been a Member of Parliament for 5.5 years now and formally involved with promoting the rights of Afghan women and girls for less than 4. And that is to say that in this room of incredible politicians, activists, civil rights defenders, I am somewhat of a novice. But after the Taliban took Kabul and we saw the failure of US and Britain's policies in Afghanistan, it was very hard as an elected representative to sit by. When civil defenders were left fleeing for their lives, when promises of better conditions for women by the Taliban were quickly shattered through the appointment of an all-male government, girls were barred from secondary schools, women were unable to travel outside their homes freely, and simply put, we saw a total dereliction of equal rights. And that was when I and other MPs were approached and asked if we could help. Could we do our bit to raise the voices of Afghan women and girls who weren't being heard either in Afghanistan or indeed in the UK? And the answer was that of course we could, because in the face of everything that was happening, how could we do anything but stand in solidarity and do whatever we could to help? And that was how the all-party parliamentary group for Afghan women and girls, which I now chair, got started, with 3 MPs from different parties, knowing that nothing that divided us was more important than working together on something as basic and vital as the rights of women and girls. Now, our goal has always been to raise the voices of Afghan women, regardless of their ethnicity, religion or location, to ultimately make ourselves obsolete, because those voices are already being heard in the places that matter. And as we all know, that work is far from done. There is a gender apartheid taking place in Afghanistan, and questions over future government relations with the Taliban remain unresolved, particularly in the context of needing to provide aid to tackle the humanitarian crisis that many in Afghanistan are now experiencing. And I know that the resettlement programme to bring those at risk to the UK has never lived up to its initial promise, with many left in limbo in countries such as Pakistan. So as MPs and peers, we continue to work together to listen to Afghan women, to raise their voices and to make sure that they are never silenced or forgotten. and we are consulting and cooperating with other parliamentary groups in response to the UK government's cut of the overseas development assistance budget and the supposed mainstreaming of women and girls issues to ensure that that support is maintained wherever possible. And it is also through the work of the all-party parliamentary group that I had the privilege of attending the start of the Tirana summit last September. And I know that many of you will have also been there. In fact, I've seen several faces I remember from there this evening. And I'm sure, like me, you were struck by the commitment of the organisers to fight against the odds to make the summit happen. And I can clearly remember that how powerful it was that despite community differences, the women there had come together as one voice to produce the Tirana Declaration, published in the weeks that followed. And after an incredibly moving day, more than anything, it was the stories of those women who had travelled from Afghanistan to be there in Albania that I took back with me to Westminster. They were doing so at their own personal risk to share first-hand life under the Taliban. But on top of all that was the incredible fact that the summit was happening at all, that with the rooms of Doha being closed to Afghan women and with our own minister sending just a video message, Albania had stepped up, enabling Afghan women to make the decisions together about what they want to see for themselves and for the future of their nation. And it is the type of selfless action rarely seen by a nation and worthy of recognition this evening. In a world which, now than ever, feels like a tinderbox on the edge of destruction, we need more statespeople to be working to promote dialogue, to find common ground and to prevent conflicts in the first place. Now, whilst Albania's hosting of the Tirana summit stands out, during my time on the APPG, I have met countless individuals who have done their bit, no matter how big or small. And I want to pay special tribute to our Secretariat, Dr. Neelam Rana, who spends hours on top of her day job advising MPs, liaising with networks so that we are kept informed and up to date, and helping us to do our bit in Parliament. And through her, we have met so many others who are continuing that most radical act of being present and standing in solidarity together and of simply not being quiet. These people give me hope. Indeed, this ceremony and everyone here gives me hope that ultimately, together, a humane, just and peaceful world can and will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy Chamberlain, for your reflections and for the work that you're doing in solidarity with Afghan women and girls. We are now going to watch a short film called The Sharp Edge of Peace, which is a powerful documentary by Afghan film producer and director Ms. Roya Sadat, who is an award-winning director who does a lot of work also around themes of injustice and women and girls' rights. So, enjoy.
Thank you for watching the documentary by Roya Sadat, a very prominent filmmaker from Afghanistan. As we saw on the documentary, now I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Ms. Fawzia Koofi. I don't need to introduce them. She is a prominent politician, women's rights activist, the first female deputy speaker at the parliament in Afghanistan, and she was the member of the Afghan delegation negotiating peace with the Taliban. Ms. Koofi.
نمیفهم با کدام زبان صحبت کنم. با زبان خودم اول شروع میکنم، با زبان شیرین فارسی. حرمت و احترام خدمت تمام حاضرین محترم، دوستان، خواهران و برادران که تشریف آوردن و با ابراز سپاس از دکتر سید مرادیان و همکارانشان که همیشه باعث شدن مردم جمع شوند زیر یک سقف و تبادل نظر کنن، صحبت کنن. مخصوصا بیشتر از هر وقت دیگه به این نشست ها و به این جمع آمد ها ضرورت است، در حالتی که ما همه مهاجر هستیم و پشت هر یک ما بسیار دلتنگ هستیم، پشت فضای وطن، پشت دیدن همدیگر، پشت اینمی فضا بسیار دل ما میتپه و خوشحال هستم که فضا برای ما یک بار دیگه توسط دکتر سید مرادیان و همکارانشان فراهم شده. و من که آمدم اینجا دیدم خواهر ما فرشته جان، بسیار خوشحال هستم که شما را میبینم فرشته جان و همه دوستایی که اینجا هستن، دوستایی که یک تعدادشان نام میگیرم، ببخشید اگر کسایی را که نام نمیگیرم، اما بسیار خوشحال هستم که همه تانا میبینم. جایزه که همساله جایزه با علی سینا اهدا میشه به کسانی که کارهای زیاد را انجام دادن در رشته‌های مختلف. و من خوشحال هستم که جایزه امسال نمیفهمم میتونم در موردش صحبت کنم اعلان شده یا نه. خب به هر صورت چون من دیرتر آمدم، جایزه امسال به صدر اعظم آلبانیا تعلق گرفته. گاهی اوقات ما میگیم که مهم نیست که چقدر به اصطلاح یک آدم یک کار انجام میده، کار مهمه، اما مهم است که چقدر یک کار در موقع اساس انجام میده. آلبانیا با وجود که یک کشور بسیار قدرتمند نیست، اما زمانی که تراژدی 15 آگوست اتفاق افتاد، آلبانیا یکی از کشورهایی بود که واقعا آغوش خود برای هزاران انسان که در ضرورت بود امو زمان باز کرد برای مردم ما، برای زنان، مردان، برای متخصصین ما در رشته‌های مختلف تا به آلبانیا بیاین و از اونجا بتونن به جاهای دیگه برن. ما به یاد دارم که روزهای سخت بود، به ما تماس میگرفتن کسانی از وزارت خارجه آلبانیا و میگفتن که فقط کافی است که می کاغذ برای کسایی که در معرض خطر هستن و میتونن از دروازه های میدان هوایی داخل میدان هوایی شون، امی کاغذ برشان بتین که یک کاغذ بود برای ورود، یک سند بود که به حیث ویزا بود. خب البته بسیاری از کشورها شاید رو به حیث ویزا قبول نکنن، اما امو لحظه وقتی امو کاغذ میدادیم و به امو اساس پلیس آلبانیا اجازه میداد که هر کس داخل خاک شود، نشان میداد که این کشور سیاست را با عاطفه یک جای ساخته و وقتی سیاست با عاطفه همزمان میشه، همساز میشه، مطمئنا که سیاست انسانی تر میشه. بعد از او در اوقات مختلف آلبانیا اقدامات را انجام داده که این اقدامات قابل قدر است. ما به یاد دارم پارسال تقریبا در این شب روز بود، شاید کم وقتر، ما در صدد از این بودیم که یک جلسه را دایر کنیم که این جلسه باعث شود خواهرای ما از نقاط مختلف جهان دور هم جمع شوند و روی بعضی از موضوعات و مسائل توافق کنند. ما دروازه های زیادی را در قلباب کردیم، ما به کشورهای مراجعه کردیم. شاید برای بسیاری از دوستای ما زنایی که اینجا هستن خودشان میفهمن، اما بسیاری از برادرای ما می تصور می باشه که برای زنان حال کار کردن بسیار آسان است. همه کشورها میخواین که برای زنان کار کنن، حقوق زن یک مسئله مدروس شده، اما باورتان شود که برای بسیاری ما آسان نیست که حتی یک جلسه کوچک را دایر کنیم. از اینکه میزبان قبول نمیکنه تا اینکه منابع از اون نیست، تا اینکه ویزا برای خواهرای ما اهدا نمیشه، همه از یک پروسه بسیار مغلق و پیچیده است. ولی ما هیچ وقت نمیخوایم که می صدا خاموش شود. لاقل کار کمیال میتونیم انجام بدیم، اما که می صدا نگاه شود، می صدا و می علمبرداری را که فعلا زنای افغانستان در رأسش هستند می همچنان حفظ شود. ما به دروازه های زیادی در قلباب کردیم. I remember knocking many doors I spoke in our beautiful language, one of the beautiful languages of Afghanistan, thinking that most people here would understand that. But now I have been giving this note that we have the respected ambassador of Albania to the United Kingdom, so I switched to English. So last year around these times, among hundreds of amazing things that Albania did over the past 4 years for us, last year around these times we were wondering, we were actually striving to have a gathering where we could bring women from across the world, but also mainly from Afghanistan, to amplify their voices, to give them the space to unite around common issues, common principles. I remember knocking many doors, including our friends, our strategic allies, asking them to issue visa for the women who would travel from Afghanistan. The doors were closed for us. Countries would issue words of sympathy, statements of sympathy, but nobody in reality would allow visas to be issued for women from inside Afghanistan. I had a visit to Albania, and there I met the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Albania, His Excellency Edi Rama, who is like a brother to me. And I said, can you allow us to host this summit, the all-women summit? I remember he said, sooner is the better. Let's do it. So from words to action is what we need. He was not only able to host this summit, but he was answering my phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, because we tried to bring women from inside Afghanistan in a very difficult route. Sometimes they had to go to Pakistan, Iran, other countries to then take the flight for their own security. In one of the airports in the neighboring countries, the women were not allowed to fly. The immigration police told them, you're not allowed to travel in groups, walk even freely in your own countries. Why do you travel to Albania in such a big group? Because they were like 18 women with their male company, with their mahram. So the immigration officer was one of the Taliban in a different country. The woman, finally, after many calls, they were allowed to get into the plane, but then they were offloaded from the plane. There are some women here in this audience that were with me in that lobby when we were, it was 4 o'clock in the morning when we were trying to bring this woman. They said, they offloaded them, they said, we need to have a confirmation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Albania saying that your visas are authentic and you can travel. I had no option but to give a call to the Minister of Foreign Affairs at 4 a.m. in the morning. And the minister answered my call. I wonder how many ministers actually in Afghanistan would answer somebody's call, at 4 o'clock in the morning. He answered my call and he said, I will take care of it. The woman missed that flight. They were all, offloaded with their mahram in the corner of the airport in that country. I don't want to name it because I don't want to now create another news. So they were in the corner of the airport. They sent me their photo. I could see how pale their faces were, but yet how anxious they were to attend this summit. That explained their commitment. That explained, they are ready to take the risk. They will not give up. In maybe 10 minutes, an email was sent to the Turkish airline saying that, these visas are authentic, these women can travel. Not only that, throughout the process, Albania was a friend. And today, the Prime Minister Edi Rama is honored for his policies on inclusion, representation, and who understands the value of representation, the value of inclusion, the importance of being represented, that then women and girls and people in Afghanistan whose voices are silenced, whose hopes are shattered, whose dreams are taken away from them, whose rights are stripped away. Who understand the importance of being represented, then the people of Afghanistan who struggled not only for the last 20 years, but throughout the history, to be part of very basic thing, to be part of decision making in their country, who no longer have the right to breathe. This morning I was speaking to a woman with one of the UN organizations inside Afghanistan. She told me that she had a housemate, somebody who was helping her at home, a widow who lost her husband in the war, raising 3 children. She said she had 3 children, 1 girl and 2 boys. The girl was 11 years old last year and entered grade 6, and she was not allowed to go to school. What she did was she tore the books apart in the room, and she hung herself. She executed herself, 11 years old. As a widow woman who raised 2 children, 2 daughters, I understand her pain. The UN woman, the woman who was working with the UN told me she was devastated because she lost her daughter. Not only she lost her daughter in war or in explosion, but her daughter took her life. Most of these news don't come to the media because people are scared of talking about this. Today, as I speak, hundreds of thousands of people in Afghanistan think about killing themselves. So who understand the value of being able to represent then people of Afghanistan? And today, in fact, inclusion and representation is not only a fight for people in Afghanistan, but it's a global fight. You see, these days, everyone asks for their inclusion. And in fact, politics of exclusion is a common phenomenon nowadays. Powerful politicians, mainly men, come together and decide about the fate of the world. And that's why the importance of working together in unity, trying to support one another, give one another voice, give one another space, is very important, is the key. In these difficult days where, we don't have our country, we are trying to represent a state that we do not have it. It's the most difficult, probably, struggle that one could carry. And as Sadi says, I hope I'm quoting correctly, دست اگر گیری ز دل نام تو جاوید باد ورنه باشی گرچه شاهی بی نشان و بی مراد. There are many kings, many presidents, many prime ministers, many ministers in this world. But when you give that hand and extend the hand of support when people need it, that makes you very special. And today we are celebrating a person who is very special to us, I think to the humanity in the world. I congratulate him on his absence, but to the ambassador of Albania, to everybody in Albania, and I hope that this will give him more courage, more reason to be even further, open to accept people from Afghanistan stand in solidarity with us as we need them now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kufi, for those powerful words. It's fantastic to have you with us. And I'm now going to introduce Elaha Sorur, a much-loved and known Afghan musician who we're very excited to have a performance from this evening.
Thank you so much to Elaha. I hope you enjoyed the music. Apologies that we are a little bit behind the time, but as we're all enjoying the beautiful music, so we don't really feel the passage of time. Now I'd like to request Ms. Zara Zaidi, OBE, who is a lawyer and a humanitarian activist, founder of Action for Afghanistan, and a former office member of Mr. Andrew Mitchell, former Deputy Foreign Secretary. Ms. Zara Zaidi is preparing the mic, and she'll be here with us in a second. In the meantime, I'd like to note that we are kind of halfway through the program for this evening, and we'll have next a video message, presentation of award, and some music. So let's all welcome Ms. Zaidi.
Distinguished guests, Your Excellency, friends, many of you I know really well, particularly the two ladies talking there and not listening to me. No. I have a complaint to the organizers because you put me after the incredible Elaha Sorur, who makes me feel things. And even though I'm not a Farsi speaker, I feel all her emotion. And being a friend of hers, I know that her work is as much about peace activism as anyone else in this room, because she uses music and art to reach people in ways that sometimes diplomats and politicians cannot. So everyone in this room, I'm really honored to be with you today. Secondly, another reason why I'm here beyond what you know of me, that I've been working with Afghans, is because I'm not Afghan. I'm a proud British Pakistani woman. And I believe that one day the world will remember who stood with Afghanistan. And I feel it my duty to say, I do. And one reason, thank you, shukran. And one reason why I'm passionate when they asked me to present this award, the reason why I really wanted to, because Albania stood with Afghans multiple times, and we will never ever forget. We will never forget. And I mean, this is a region where we have grudges. We never forget, right? Clans upon clans. We will never forget the generosity and the principles of the Albanian government. So we've heard about the Avicenna Award. It represents almost a bridge between humanity. And in Albania, you have, it's suddenly gone off, I think, my mic. Can you hear me? It's okay? I'll just talk louder. Okay. It's working? At my end, I can't hear. It's okay. It's okay. So we live in really, it's not working. I thought so. Okay. It's probably my hair, to be honest. But I have a very loud voice, and I can make you all hear me anyway. Shall I just continue, because we're short of time? Shall I just continue? Yeah? If I'm shouting too loud, someone just do that, okay? So we live in really uncertain times. The world is crying out for people who are pushing peace, and yet we're hearing the drums of war. The reason why I think Albania has such a unique place in the world now and was a friend to Afghanistan, because it represents both East and West. It is a proud European country. It is also a country with Islamic links. And in a world today of loud voices drumming war, you have mediators, you have visionaries, innovators, and people pushing for communal harmony. And Albania, when I was in Tirana, it represents that harmony, a country that's in line with its past and also confident of its future and its relationship with other communities and other countries. So when a few of us approached Albania to support the summit process, it was no surprise that they were the first to say yes. And in His Excellency, your Prime Minister, you have someone who represents all these qualities. And last night, as I was thinking about what I was going to say, I looked into his background. An artist, someone who was mayor for his capital twice, I believe, someone who's held the prime ministerial post the longest, and whose family, if you look at his father and his great-grandfather, also at different times stood for on principle. So it's no surprise that under his leadership, there is a principled stance on so many issues. And often when we see politicians, we don't see the story behind them that makes them, and the people and the country that makes them. And in His Excellency, you have someone who truly represents the best values of his country. So this award, as we know, is for three main reasons. And there's an Albanian saying that everyone builds his own destiny. And in Albania, I think you've got a country that really can be that bridge. And so in 2021, when the Taliban took over, I was one of those people at the end of a phone, an end of a WhatsApp group, helping to find safe houses, helping to find money for transfers to borders, trying to get letters on politicians' tables to get people on evacuation lists. And many countries said no. Albania did not. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Afghans went to Albania either directly to settle or as a transit country. And those times were bleak. The people who stood with us, the person who was at the end of a WhatsApp, sometimes it was some secretary at an embassy who said, no, we will try our best. And that was often the case with Albania. And now, in some cities, you've got 4,000 Afghans who've made Albania their home. In Shenzhen, you've got 4,000. And because of that one act, you've got young children who see peace, who have stability, education, and hope. And in times like this, we will remember those people who helped us keep our hope up, that even though it looks very bleak and we're being failed in international leadership at times, and there's so many different crises, Pakistan, India, I mean, it's relentless now. But those refugees in Albania have a level of peace. And who knows, they can rebuild and go back to their country one day. The second reason for this award is that Albania internationally has really taken principled stances on the multilateral order, the need to uphold the UN Charter, on human rights, on women's issues, on the need for humanitarian activity, humanitarian support and economic support. As a member of the UN Security Council, it often drafted resolutions, it led, and it challenged. And it's so easy now to think that, that wasn't very hard for them, but we have an international order that's under threat. It's breaking down, and it takes brave people, brave governments to hold true to their values. And in your Prime Minister, you have all of that embodied in your government. I know we're short of time. I was told to speak for 12 minutes, but I'm going to hurry up a bit. The third reason is one that Fawzia Koofi spoke about, in that of that principle of leadership internationally, they have pushed for the rights of women and girls, pushed and pushed and pushed. And sometimes from different lenses, not just human rights, but the need that we are not safe, there is no security without stability for all its people, without contribution for all its people. And it's already been said, but over 8 months, a group of us approached how many governments? Albania said, what do you need? Literally. There was one of the most senior people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was personally handling visas. We heard earlier from Fawzia Koofi that the Foreign Secretary was taking calls at 4 a.m. By the way, I was in that lobby when, I won't say the government, but it's quite close to me, turned around not one plane, but 2 planes of Afghans. And we didn't know what to do, so we turned to our friends. And that is what Albania is, and that is what the Albanian Prime Minister is. Tirana was life-changing. Yeah, come on. This award is about solidarity, it's about community, it's about peace, it's about all of us. I see so many different backgrounds here. Every one of you is doing something, and sometimes we forget in our own struggles because it's so hard to raise. I was talking about raising funding just earlier. It's so hard to get politicians to listen. We forget that alongside each of us, turn to your neighbor right now, there's somebody doing great things, and there is strength in unity. And in a country like Afghanistan, in a country like Pakistan, in a country like Albania, we have so much diversity. We have so much beauty. The people are its strength. Even when politics fails us, the international community fails us, people are our strength. And we will not let the world forget what's happened. We will not let the world forget. How many times do you see, you'll have a Twitter notification that another group of Afghans has organized? Human rights, counter-narcotic, security. I'm from the region. We have a huge security issue. And in a country like Albania, because of its geopolitical location, it understands all of that. It's not only a friend because it feels it's the right thing to do, it's a friend because it's a strategic thing to do. And I mean, I've said this many times. When I was brought up in Britain, I've worked for almost all British organizations. What is happening in Afghanistan is not about the Taliban's values. It is about our values. Do we care? Because if they can do that, to those women, they can do it to anyone. We are lowering the standards of what we think is acceptable. And that's why when you have a country like Albania at the Security Council, drafting resolutions, fighting for principle, it really matters. Because the moment Albania said yes to the summit, about 5 other countries said yes to the summit. You won't believe how hard it was. People told us, it's live, isn't it? It's too difficult, it's too expensive, it's too dangerous, it's too this, it's too that. Albanians just said, what do you need? And that is a true friend. And that is why this award really cannot be going to a better human being in your Prime Minister. Your Excellency, I'm honored to meet you today, and I wish your nation all the very best. There will be better days ahead.
So much, Zahra. I feel like you really put meat on the bones of the term international community, which is not something that we feel is so potent when we read the news, but I think you really encapsulated what this award is about. And I'm now going to introduce a short video, which is a message of thanks for His Excellency Edi Rama.
What an inspirational journey as an artist, as an athlete, as a leader, and as a very charismatic leader and politician. And it's truly well-deserved recognition to present the Avicenna Award to His Excellency Mr. Edi Rama, Prime Minister of Albania. So at this part of the program, I'd like to invite you all to watch a video message by His Excellency Prime Minister of Albania, the winner of this year's Avicenna Peace Award.
distinguished guests and dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is a profound honor for me to speak before you today. And of course, I would have dearly wished to join you in person at this meaningful gathering, a celebration of intercultural and interreligious dialogue in a world that sadly seems more and more withdrawn into itself. My emotion is all the greater because this occasion is dedicated to the spirit of fraternal friendship between the Afghan and Albanian people, two nations who know from the depth of lived experience the pain of servitude and the true cost of freedom and dignity. In times such as ours, marked by urgent crisis and deep wounds across the international community, the award you have so generously given me, through a great honor, could almost feel like a gesture of vanity. And yet, I have chosen to be with you in thought today and to accept this distinction in my heart because I believe it carries something far more important, a sign of hope, a very small but yet powerful antidote to the illnesses that threaten the soul of our humanity. What you are doing here deserves recognition and support. Your efforts to sustain a vibrant global presence of the Afghan soul, to remind the world that a free Afghanistan not only exists but still holds a vision for the future, and to transform the very name of your country into a unifying symbol, one that transcends difference. This is no small feat. Through your very presence, through your work, you inspire. You show that it is possible to awaken from nightmares, if only we have the courage to open our eyes, that evil can be overcome so long as we do not falter in our will. There are no incurable diseases, only the lack of will. Allow me to borrow the words of Ibn Sina, known to many as Avicenna, who once offered a diagnosis for the gravest illness of any age. It is with deep humility that I now find my name associated with his, through the honor of this award. By strengthening your initiatives, of which the Avicenna Prize stands as one of the most remarkable, you act as a kind of medicine, a conscious, concentrated remedy, a force against darkness, against despair, and against the resignation to humiliation. Because you have the will to act. In this, you do not merely honor a legacy, you carry it forward. And why is this so important? Mother Teresa, Nobel Prize laureate, and Albania's beloved saint, once said, "Do things for people not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because of who you are." That in many ways is the essence of Albania, a country small on the map, yet vast in heart, always open to others, especially when dignity, safety, and life itself hang in the balance. I accept this award on behalf of the Albanian people, a nation that through centuries of challenge and change has quietly sustained a powerful legacy of humanity, hospitality, and moral courage. In honoring these values, the award affirms the universal truth that our shared humanity rises above all borders and differences. Let me recall a line from 1,000 Splendid Suns written by the esteemed Afghan-American author and humanitarian Khaled Hosseini. A society has no chance of success if its women are uneducated. Tragically, the ones who have suffered and continue to suffer the most under the Taliban regime are Afghan women. Since late 2021, Afghanistan has been the only country in the world where girls over the age of 12 are banned from all levels of education. Women are silenced, barred from speaking, signing, showing their faces, let alone singing, or even studying to become doctors. All amid the deepening humanitarian crisis in which maternal mortality continues to rise. We Albanians could not remain bystanders. We could not forget that the price of inaction is measured in human lives, in lost futures, in generations of women erased from public life. This is why we opened our doors to Afghan athletes, activists, and scholars, Their struggle is not there alone, it is ours as well. It is a battle for the very soul of humanity. To be a young woman in Afghanistan is to grow up with violence, to learn not to fight back. Our crime? Kicking a ball, playing sport, having fun. These words from Khalida Popal, a pioneer of Afghan women's football who was forced into exile for daring to play, capture the deep injustice faced by a generation of girls. In Albania, we answered that injustice with action. The Albanian Football Federation opened its doors to the Afghan women's football team. They trained, played, and lived with dignity, defying the fear and silence the Taliban sought to impose. Their presence was not symbolic. It was powerful proof that hope can grow again, even after such a devastating event. This too is part of our identity. Just 30 years ago, Albanians were the ones fleeing fear and oppression from our own red Taliban. We remember the boats that carried us across the Adriatic, the desperate knocks on our neighbors' doors, especially in Italy, where we found compassion and shelter. These are moments we will never forget, and because of that history, we Albanians understand the Afghan people more deeply than most. Our solidarity with them is not theoretical, it is born of lived experience. That's why, when the skies fell over Afghanistan in 2021, and people scrambled to escape a future stolen overnight, we did not hesitate. We opened our doors, not because we had to, but because we knew it was the right thing to do. We may not have had vast resources, but we had something that showed to be greater. The will to act with honor, to remember our history, and to live up to our values. Remember once again Avicenna's words, there are no incurable diseases, only the lack of will. As Khaled Hosseini also wrote in The Kite Runner, war doesn't negate decency, it demands it even more than in times of peace. We are people who know that decency matters. Most of the world is at its worst. Our history calls us to this truth. During World War II, Albania was the only country in Europe with more Jews after the Holocaust than before it. Muslim and Christian families across our nation risked everything to hide and protect Jewish lives. In 1999, as ethnic cleansing swept through Kosovo, we opened our arms to 500,000 of our brothers and sisters, not because it was easy, but because it was right. When the Afghans came to us, we saw their humanity, not their passports, not their faith. In their struggle, we saw a reflection of our own story. In Albania, they found not just shelter, but life. Zendagi Migzara says an old Persian phrase, life goes on, and indeed their life continued in Albania. Children returned to school. Albi, the first Afghan baby born on Albanian soil, came into the world. A couple even ran in our annual Tirana Marathon, and the displaced community slowly found the breath of life again. These were not isolated moments of normalcy. They were quiet acts of defiance against despair and powerful proof that dignity can be reclaimed even after displacement. May this award serve as a solemn reminder that peace is not a passive state, nor simply the absence of war. Rather, it embodies the presence of justice, dignity, courage, and decisive action. To those who seek to build walls in times of fear, we respond with open doors. And to those who claim that nothing can be done in the face of cruelty, we say we remember. We act not for applause, but because it is who we are. Thank you so much. God bless you. And God bless Afghanistan and its very brave people, and especially women and girls.
Thank you to His Excellency for a very, very moving video message. And we're delighted to have Ambassador Urob Farizi, the Ambassador of Albania to the UK, with us this evening to accept the award on his behalf. And so, delivering the award, we have Fauzi Kufi, Hariza Afizeh, and Premi Singh, as well as Dr. Davood Moradian. So please come up to present the award. Thank you to His Excellency for a very, very moving video message. And we're delighted to have Ambassador Urob Farizi, the Ambassador of Albania to the UK, with us this evening to accept the award on his behalf. And so delivering the award, we have Fauzi Kufi, Hariza Afize, and Premi Singh, as well as Dr. Davood Moradian. So please come up to present the award.
It's from their town, Badakhshan.
So the lapis lazuli come from my province, from Badakhshan. It's very special in Afghanistan.
Beautiful.
So it means this is very special to me.
Thank you.
And also we have a special Japan for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is traditional Afghan.
Do I wear it?
Yes,
No,
you
no,
just
you can
put it on.
just
on
Just put on your shoulder.
Thank you.
You see our former President Karzai used to wear
Used
I
to
love
wear
it, yes.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of valor and a brave pride of Afghanistan
Our culture.
and
Thank you.
culture and all the sects, because the color represents it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You first made me an ambassador, now you made me a president. So thank you.
And this is a saffron. Then this is it. This is the best saffron in the world.
Wonderful.
You can make this with cook. All you can do it, make you more happy and make you happy inside.
Right.
Yes.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
How thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All you need is an Afghan.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, next year maybe.
Hopefully so. Why not?
Thank you.
Now you may proceed.
Thank you. What a wonderful award. Now I need to take care of this before something happens and I get sacked. Can I? Thank you very much. Dear friends, I'd like to warmly thank the organisers for this wonderful event. It's a privilege for me, as Albania's ambassador, to collect this award on behalf of the Prime Minister of Albania, Mr. Edi Rama. Now, this award is indeed for the Prime Minister, and in truth, as he himself said, it reflects something much deeper. It celebrates the Albanian people and our long-standing tradition to hospitality. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for the warm words you said earlier to all the speakers. Thank you. And now for some more music. I'm also grateful to the organisers for the very thoughtful cultural programme that follows. I suggested to Davood Ms. Greta Papa, the talented Albanian violinist, for this occasion. And we Albanians are particularly proud of her. She has prepared a special musical journey for us tonight, which she will introduce shortly. But a word about the musicians, very briefly. Greta had an established career as a soloist, orchestral and chamber musician before arriving in London, where she shifted her focus primarily to chamber music. She is the founding member of the Waldstein Trio and has performed in some of the world's most prestigious venues, including the Musikverein in Vienna and the Carnegie Hall in New York. Bruna Heinen is a versatile musician, described by The Guardian as eclectic, eccentric, and undoubtedly erudite, though that barely does justice to his talent. Today he brings us his own arrangement of the Albanian songs medley you're about to hear. Joining him is James Kitchman, recognized by BBC Radio 3 as one of the most distinctive and sought-after jazz guitarists of his generation. Together they promise a performance that blends tradition, improvisation and a little Albanian spirit, which of course means passion, precision, and no small amount of stubborn determination to get it just about right. Enjoy the music.
Thank you so much. That was captivating. This marks the end of our ceremony, so thank you so much to everyone for making this a really special evening. And we now have dinner, so there's food at the back. If you have any particular dietary requirements, just everything is labelled, or ask any of us where things are, and we hope you just enjoy talking and enjoying the rest of the evening. Thank you so much to everyone for being here.